Welcome to another episode of the EsportsNext official podcast. My name is Adam. Joshua will be your host for today. And here, who do we have?
Chris Silbernagel.
Chris. All right. Chris does the magazine for EsportsNext. Tell us a little about the magazine.
It's the second year that we've been doing the magazine. I lead the production for it. It was a really crazy experience just because of the amount of people that we were involved with speaking with, like Lee Steinberg and Ian Porter, and doing those interviews and just getting it generally set up was you say a process, but at the same time, it was fun and exciting because you get to meet all these people, you get to do all these different types of pieces. We really mixed it up this year compared to last year too, where we had one interview which was kind of like a round table, but this year we had two big interviews, and I think they knocked it out of the park with the type of answers they had and the general questions that we had for them really mixed up.
Absolutely. So I heard you say Lee Steinberg. So you're at the Super Bowl party this year.
I wish.
Oh, I was there.
Were you?
Yeah, I was doing this.
Were you really?
I was doing it. It was awesome.
I bet it was.
That was my favorite day of the year. I loved it. And now today's becoming my favorite day of the year as I get to, again, meet, like you said, meet so many interesting people.
Yeah.
I feel like being a photographer and being like, in magazines, it gets you behind so many doors that you wouldn't expect to get behind. And
Absolutely.
you're like, oh, you take good pictures of this? Like, okay, great. Oh, you're going to put it in a magazine? Oh, awesome. What are some of the coolest things that you have done doing your magazine?
That magazine in particular, or
Any magazine you've ever done?
I would say those two are really up there, but some other things that I've done was cover big sports tourism pieces. For example, there's Sports ETA. It's kind of like the Super Bowl of sports tourism for like youth tournaments and everything. We covered them back in April. We cover them every year, and it's a really good place to be able to get story ideas. And the type of stuff that we get from there for ideas are like sustainability in sports.
Yeah.
And the type of people we interview, I don't think they're really as famous in terms of celebrity status, but the things they do for their communities and the way they build things up, it's really special. And then you get to learn from those people of how they're contributing to each little sector of the country and even around the world. And it's awesome to see that kind of dedication to their craft.
Agreed. I think doing good for people is, just as, if not more importantly, being a big celebrity. Celebrity, like, you're great, you're known for what you do, you're good at what you do. But if you're like a selfless person who does good for others, then that's so much more important.
Yeah.
But if you can be both, if you can be a super famous person who does good for, like Prince, I think is like the prime example of that. He
I
just
agree.
did so many things behind the scenes that he would like didn't talk about because he was a Jehovah's Witness, and he also was a superstar, but he didn't like to brag about all the good stuff he did. That's
You
cool.
could go on and on.
Oh, absolutely. There's plenty of examples out there like that. What are some examples of good you've seen and done that you were really inspired by?
Um, I think the biggest thing for me, and I'm just going to use a generalization, is just some of them and the way they and try to find ways to reinvest any of the big money that's made in sports tourism. It's billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And to see that being pumped back into the community in terms of having spaces that people can play where it doesn't cost them an arm and a leg to be able to play there. Those types of things are really what inspire me to continue to want to work in the business that I'm in.
Yeah, I love it. What would be your dream, gig, working with anybody, doing a magazine for either whether it's an entertainer or maybe a charity or whatever?
Hmm.
Like, who are your favorite people, like in entertainment or the people you look up to in charity?
I think one thing would be really cool would be some kind of charity work that has to do with one of the major sports leagues in the U.S.
Cool.
I'm not sure which one, but I think for particular, I'd love to work with MLB and NHL
Oh yeah.
on some type of stuff like that. That'd be really cool, like annual maybe sports books and I don't mean the betting type. I just mean like I don't know, some kind of like I don't know, how should I put it, like a yearbook almost.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So if you're if they have charity events, which I know they do,
They do.
wouldn't they want like someone to put together a magazine, whether it be an active charity from you or something you do, on the cheap?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, you should pitch that.
I should.
Who's your team?
My team,
Yeah,
which sport? All of them.
any sport. Yeah,
Buffalo Sabres, and I'm
Buffalo
I'm a
Sabres.
struggling Buffalo Sabres fan.
Okay, are you from Buffalo?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
There's there's a funny story to that if you want to hear it.
let's hear it.
All right, so I'm from Chicago, but
Chi-town right here.
you'd think I'd be a Blackhawks fan,
Yeah.
but I grew up in the dollar bill Wirtz era.
Okay.
If I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Dollar bill. No,
No.
explain it to me and the audience.
All right, so Dollar Bill Wirtz was the owner before Rocky Wirtz took over, who
Okay.
ended up getting the team turned around. They won 3 Stanley Cups
Okay.
from 2010 through 2015. Um, but before that, there was Dollar Bill Wirtz, his father, and it was impossible. You wouldn't have any home games on television because you were expected to go to the stadium to watch every game because everyone has the money to do that.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to watch away games, it was on pay services. So being from Chicago and having to pay so much money to watch your team made it feel like it wasn't your team. So I went to find another team. And that's where I went with the Sabres because if you're familiar with hockey and you know Dominik Hasek, that draws you in.
That's how it goes. Yeah, I should know more about hockey. I'm
That's
Canadian,
okay.
so yeah, I should know a lot more about it.
But about baseball, White Sox.
Baseball, White Sox. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, here in Chi-town. Well, maybe you should pitch something like that. Just hey, you want a free demo of a magazine like this? Like go in, shoot some pictures. Hang out at a charity event for a day. Send them like one copy, and then be like, hey, this is great. Can you do that for us all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think that would be fun. Awesome. What are you hoping to accomplish here today, other than just make the magazine? Or any connections you're hoping to make?
Yeah, more connections. I would say also personal connections because I'm here for my company, Premier Travel Media, obviously to try and help build the magazine because we use state guides to promote facilities and locations, destinations across the country and even parts of Canada, Puerto Rico. But aside from that, I'm also here for personal reasons as well. I'm here to try and get more investments into the esports industry. I've even met someone here who, of all things, was involved in anime, and I love anime. So it's like, you know what? I'm happy to be here and make as many connections as I can, and
Yeah.
the more diverse it is, the better.
You know what I realize about being here is you can connect with so many people about anime. Like I remember being here last year and there were a ton of people that were into anime, and I was like, oh, it's like finding a lifeboat. Like, oh, okay, let's talk about this stuff
Well,
because I'm obsessed.
well, I gotta ask you then. I know you're the host, but
Yeah,
what's your
yeah.
favorite anime right now?
Dragon Ball Z.
The new
Right
one?
now I'm watching Dragon Ball Super,
Yeah.
which has been really awesome. I went into like I had like okay, it actually started last year at EsportsNext. I ran into well no, people at work and then a guy named D Jones, he was here last year. Shout out to D Jones if you're listening. He was big into One Piece and Naruto. So I went down into a spiral of One Piece because I wanted to watch the anime first before I watched the live
Yeah.
action. So like I remember I unexpectedly had like a week off of work. So I'm like they talk about locking themselves in their rooms and watching it nonstop and going through an absurd like they wake up and then they watch it all day and then they go to bed and they repeat
It's like 1,000 episodes or something.
over that. Yeah, it's out of control. So I remember watching it and I was like, oh, I get why you would want to do this. I wish I had more time. I wish I had like another version of myself that could just sit at home and watch anime all day because it's so awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, Dragon Ball Z since I was a kid has always been my favorite. Uh, I didn't expect to like Super to. Well, I knew like Dragon Ball Z is awesome, but you never know with like shows as they get into these different iterations. Like the Power Rangers will never be the same as when I was a kid, but they get in these iterations and new people take over. But it's been fantastic.
I
Um,
imagine you were sad when the creator died.
I was, yeah. I remember I was talking about it with a fellow Dragon Ball Z fan that day later, and I was on vacation and me and my friend, we had, we went to bed fairly early one night because we'd had our fun for the day, so to speak. So, We just went in and we watched Dragon Ball Z, and a few days later, or Dragon Ball Super rather, and a few days later he died. Yeah, that was a shame. But
Yeah.
it's when you like when they die, like you realize, oh my, like what a legacy they left behind.
Yeah.
Now I gotta ask you, what's yours?
Um, right now, I would say the most recent thing that I've been obsessed with was Freyren.
Okay, Freren,
Um,
tell me about it.
Freyren is about this elf who's been living for a very long time, but appears like a young woman. The story starts strangely at the end of defeating the Demon King, which, when you think of fantasy worlds and anime, that's usually the end goal. But
Yeah,
instead, it starts with that as the beginning, and then you're going through her new path with an apprentice and another apprentice that comes along the way. I don't want to spoil anything. And it's about her learning how to appreciate life more, in a sense.
that's a nice theme. Yeah,
Because, if you're an elf, you live for a long time and you kind of feel like, oh, well, I knew one person when they're in their 20s and 80s. It doesn't really matter to me. But then you get close to someone particular, you
yeah,
see them die, and you keep living. Well, that's
yeah.
an interesting concept.
It is, yeah. You see all these shonens, and they're fairly like it's so entertaining,
Oh, yeah.
to watch these fights that have like these big arcs and they develop in such a cool way, and like I love those, but it's also it's awesome when they connect with you on such a like a deep emotional level.
Oh, yeah.
Like I remember when I watched Sword Art Online, I got into it because I like the concept. It's like like a virtual reality thing, and but then it just I didn't expect it to pluck at my heartstrings like the way that it did. So if you get that emotional like investment in it, it makes it so much cooler. And then the art style obviously is like
Yeah.
something I just love to stare at. And you can watch these shows without any volume, although you probably wouldn't want to, but you could if you needed to.
You could, yeah. You could just have it on in the background.
Sweet. Yeah. What are some of your other favorites?
Of all time, it's kind of a stereotype, I guess, or it's not going to impress anyone, but Cowboy Bebop is probably my favorite of all.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just because it's common doesn't mean that it's like not good. I think
Yes.
awesome. It's actually Robin Williams' favorite anime.
Yeah,
Cowboy.
I didn't even know that.
There you go. Now you know.
Now I know.
Robin Williams is big into anime. Another just cool thing about him. Yeah. That. Did you like the live action?
I thought it was okay. I appreciated it.
I
And I
act.
feel like it didn't get enough of a time to finish what it was trying to say.
I think so too. So I actually. This might be blasphemous, but I actually watched the live action before the show. I know
That's okay.
I went in backwards, but it was easier. Well, actually, it's only one season. Like I
Yeah.
watched, I think 90% of it, and then I just got caught up in other shows. But I loved it. I thought it was a great show. It's got this like humor to it, and but I didn't think the live action was that bad. I think people just are ready to like criticize it and tear it apart because it's not the original. Same with like One Piece, but One Piece actually, are you a One Piece guy?
Here and there, not as much as a friend of mine who his
Watch it.
30th birthday party was all One Piece.
I believe it.
Yeah.
They're all wearing straw hats and whatnot.
Yes.
I love that 30th birthday party. Yeah, like people who watch it, they like have watched through it multiple times, which I think is nuts.
Yes.
They just have it on in the background all the times. It's just like
Instead of nature shots, it's One Piece.
yeah, why not? It is really nice and it's a fun adventure show and it's really well done and it's humorous and it's got all the things that I like.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, so are you living in Chicago?
Yeah.
You're living in Chicago, so I don't need to ask you like what are you gonna do while you're down here? Because I'm up from Toronto, so I love coming down here. It's just such a cool city, especially I was like just walking around at night last night and I was just admiring like it's like Gotham City out here, right? It's got this like amazing, like these amazing titans of industries, but it's like also like kind of it's got this spooky quality to it.
It does.
It's cool. I really like it out here, and the food. Oh my god,
Yeah.
don't get me started on the food.
And if you go into the suburbs, it's sometimes even worse with food.
Okay, I need to know where I should go from someone who is from Chicago. I don't need, the top 10 that everyone thinks because they came in from outside. Where do I go for pizza and where do I go for an Italian sandwich?
An Italian sandwich,
Italian beef.
Johnny's.
Johnny's.
Yes, it's
Okay.
not too far from here. And if you want the best deep dish pizza, you go to either Pequod's or my preferred choice, Bert's Place. It's all created by the same original owner.
Of Pequods. Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
And
So
Bert's Place is in Morton Grove, so it's a hike, but Anthony Bourdain, if you're a fan of his,
yeah,
said it's the best deep dish pizza ever, and I will agree with that.
and it's one more time,
In Morton Grove.
Morton Grove, and
Yep.
it's called
Bert's Place.
Bert's Place.
Yep.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I just had Luminalties last night for the
Not even close to
Not
that.
even close.
Not even close.
I was in absolute like heaven, taste bud heaven.
It's good,
It's
but
really good. It's got that buttery crust and I've just heard everyone praises it to, like, and I had Giordano's last time I was here, which was
oh,
great. You
you
don't like
liked
it?
it? No, for me,
It's
no.
very cakey,
It is.
and it's like dry and wet at the same time.
That's
But it's
true.
really good. I won't diss it because I haven't like fully explored it, but that's good to know. Okay, I'm gonna check those places out while I'm here because I'm here to eat. I like eating out here for sure. That's
I
one.
agree with you entirely. That's where I go to. Whenever I'm out going places, food is the number one thing.
Okay, and what other things do I do while I'm here?
Since you're an anime fan and you're a One Piece fan, you should go out to Arlington Heights, which isn't even far from Morton Grove, and
Okay,
go to Mitsuya Marketplace, which I'm probably dooming the Mitsuya Marketplace fan base because it's blowing up already. But they have a One Piece trading card shop just for One Piece.
don't tell me that.
You have authentic ramen from Hokkaido.
Oh
You
no.
have you have a Kinokuniya bookstore. You've got everything you want there for anime, Japanese goods, etc.
Fantastic. Well, that is really good to know. And are there any like anime shops where I get like exclusive memorabilia or anything like that out here?
I can't remember the name of it. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but I think it's Nakuma, Nakuma
Nakuma.
Toys, something like that. But I haven't been there in a while, but I know they have a lot of good collectibles.
Is that downtown or is it?
Yes,
Oh no.
I think it's northwest of here in the city.
Uh-oh. Looks like someone's making a stop before I go. That is good to know. I'm also going to, Fan Expo in Canada soon, and that is really, it's good to bring a friend who can, kind of pull you back a little bit because it's
Yes,
really treacherous out there.
yes.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Chris. It's been
You
an
as well.
absolute pleasure. And thank you for the guide to Chicago. I appreciate that. Do you want to plug yourself before you go?
No, I think I plugged myself well enough.
Wow.
I appreciate it though.
Humble guy over here. That's how you know this man's a genuine man.
Oh, I'll
guy
say
likes-
one thing.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Go for it.
I'm an aspiring author. I wrote a fantasy novel. I'm trying to get it published, so let's see how that goes.
There you go. You heard it here. Publish this man's fantasy novel. Make this man's fantasy a reality. All right. Thank you so much for being here today, and we hope everything goes well with you and your magazine. I can't wait to see it.
Thanks. Appreciate it.